Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on when you're watching the video. Today, we are going to be talking about an album. But before we jump into the actual album review, just wanted to say there's going to be some stuff down in the description, as always, some stuff you want to read if you want to know more about the channel, you want to know what I'm reviewing next, how to request an album, all that good stuff down in the description. Today, we're going to be talking about the newest, not really the newest album, the second newest album by the Christian contemporary music band The Afters. This album is called Live On Forever. Live On Forever is The Afters' fifth studio album and possibly their shortest album. This album only has 10 songs on there. Most of the songs are like 3 minutes to 3 minutes 30 seconds. The longest song on here barely gets past 4 minutes. And the total runtime for this thing is 36 minutes. Pretty short for an album these days. But, I mean, some artists like to make short albums, so it's not incredibly unusual, but still not a super long album. In terms of how commercially successful this album is, it's definitely not as big as Light Up the Sky or Life is Beautiful ever were. This album has 2 songs that I read got radio play. It was Battles and the title track. I heard the title track actually got some decent radio play. I never heard it on the radio. I don't remember hearing this on the radio. I don't really remember hearing Battles. But there is a song on here called Eyes of a Believer, something like that. And that song I heard is doing fairly well, but I don't really know. It's not nearly as big hits, nearly as distinctive or memorable or popular as the hits from Light Up the Sky or Life is Beautiful. Now, you may be wondering, what is the sound and tone of Live On Forever? It's either as commercial as Light Up the Sky and Life is Beautiful, or even more commercial. They're just mostly these songs, and you can tell by the song length, and the music, and the lyrics, they're all just kind of aiming to be hits on pop radio, not pop radio, on Christian contemporary music radio. But they also do their own little thing on this album, on a few of these songs, which is make these really electronic, very modern sounding, really epic rock songs. They just feel just really awesome and really like battle-like and just kind of, I don't know. They have a lot of energy, a little bit of aggression in there. These songs are Shadows. Let me see. Shadows, Survivors, and Legends. You can tell from the titles alone. They're like epic, Shadows, Survivors, Legends. They're all just kind of have this awesome kind of feel is what they're going for on here, on these songs. Another exception to the, very generic Christian contemporary music songs on this record, which is basically all of the songs except for the ones I just mentioned. You also have the final song called, let me see, When You're With Me. When You're With Me is like an acoustic style love song, ballad with, acoustic instrumentation and sweet, sappy lyrics and just kind of a love relationship theme. And it's kind of an exception to the Christian contemporary music lyric. It's not something they would probably play on the radio, on Christian contemporary music radio. Now you may be wondering, what is the quality of this record? Is this thing good? Is this thing bad? Is it sort of in between? Well, let me try to break that down. Production-wise, in terms of the music, in terms of this, the production, how they made the album, how it sounds, honestly, a lot of this, it has a very high quality, very polished sound on like all of these songs. And some songs in particular really stand out, like all the epic style songs I mentioned, Shadows, Survivors, Legends. All of these really do sound pretty cool. They sound like something, especially with the appeal to teenagers, because they like eat up this kind of, I don't know. It sounds like they're aiming for a younger audience, but they really do hit the mark, and these songs actually do sound really good. And the other songs in the album don't really stand out, but, I mean, they're songs. They sound like music. And another highlight on here is the final song, the acoustic love ballad. I forgot the name. I have terrible memory. But that one actually does sound pretty good. It starts off very simple, and then they throw in some more instruments as it goes along, and it really just sounds pretty. It sounds really nice. Honestly, sounds pretty good. So, in terms of production, this album really is not bad. In terms of everything else, however, this album flops pretty bad. The lyrics on this album are extremely forgettable. They're extremely, they've been generic in the past. Light Up the Sky was generic. Life is Beautiful had some generic stuff, but those were genuinely encouraging and uplifting. This thing is just so painfully generic and dull. There's like nothing there. There's like literally nothing there. The love song, it's just a love song. The awesome epic songs, lyrics really are not very good. Honestly, you can find some good inspiring messages and themes on here, but all stuff you've heard before and not as good as their other albums. Lyrically, this thing is really not great. And there's the elephant in the room for me. The big song that I need to point out, because it's really bad, is the song Best Time of My Life, I think it's called. I think it's called. It's just called Time of My Life. But this song, Time of My Life, you can tell from the title, it sounds eerily familiar. The title to Best Day of My Life, that's the song, by American authors. You listen to the music, it's like plagiarism. It is literally plagiarism. Lyrics and music, they do the same. I don't know how to describe it because I haven't listened to them both recently, but it literally, you need to take some time, listen to those songs side by side. It is like a direct rip-off. They are directly stealing, almost, like completely plagiarizing, ripping off a song by another band. And that's a no-no. I've listened to a ton of albums, and I've rarely ever seen this. Actually, I saw this recently with, this is really off track. No, you're not going to understand this. But Russ, on his album Zoo, he has the same guitar strumming from the song Lucid Dreams by Juicy WRLD. So weird. I don't know which came out first, but it is bizarre. I'm going to look that up and like put that in the description because that is the weirdest thing. Or do a separate video. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But anyway, Time of My Life, plagiarism. This is bad. This is a really bad song. You should not have done this. The Afters, shame on you. In conclusion, this album has some really solid production. On a lot of these songs, a lot of it is kind of generic and forgettable, but really it is very polished and high quality. Like I said, the epic songs and the last song really do sound pretty great, honestly. They sound pretty good, but everything else on this record really doesn't have a lot going for it. It's very generic lyrics, really very little substance to be found throughout the record. I cannot give this thing anything better than 3 out of 5 stars. What did you think of this record? If you probably haven't heard this record. If you've heard the Afters' other stuff, there's a chance that you may have let this record slip by, or because you haven't really heard it on the radio as much. It's not as commercially successful as their other albums, but what'd you think? Do you like the Afters? Do you like this album? Do you like Juicy WRLD or Russ? Let's throw that out there. Since I brought them up, you can throw that out there down in the comments if you feel like it, person watching this video. Have a good day. Have a good one. Have a good day.